Welcome in everyone to a discussion on Aokiji Kuzan. There's just a few things in One Piece, right? Post-time skip that have been developed, some that are clearly important plot lines that Oda really hasn't kind of fully fleshed out yet, kind of similarly to Garp at Hachinosu. That was over 100 chapters ago. I assume at some point after Elbaf we're going to go there or figure out what's happening. I made a video on it. If you want to watch it, I'll link it at the end. We also saw Aokiji there at Hachinosu and kind of learned that maybe he really is a part of the Blackbeard Pirates. So I kind of want to talk about my own idea about what I think is happening with Aokiji, similarly to the prevailing theories you'll see elsewhere, because mine is not the prevailing theory for sure about really what's going on with Aokiji. Because clearly Oda has a plan, probably, and let's figure out what it could be. So post time skip happens, right? Right as the time skip is happening, there's a few things that Oda is doing and setting up. The Straw Hats are going to change. They're going to get stronger. There's going to be a 2-year gap. And he's also thinking, hey, what else should change for this new era that is being developed in One Piece? Well, how about another big faction? How about the Marines? We've got Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji. If we're looking for a new leader to lead the Marines into a new era, those three, the current admirals, would make the most sense. Looking at those three, Kizaru, kind of the most less sensical of the group, the most laissez-faire, kind of, I just do, what I want, I have my fruit, no one can touch me, that kind of thing. We have Akainu, who would make a ton of sense, and then Aokiji, who's kind of a mixture between the two. And for me, my idea is that Oda said, okay, let's get a new leader of the Marines. We have Akainu and Aokiji. They're going to fight, and the winner is going to be Akainu, and the loser is going to be Aokiji. Now, Aokiji is a very strong character, and One Piece admirals are close to top tier. And my idea is that Aokiji really did lose to Akainu, and we're going to get into Spygate in a second here about if that fight, what it was really for, and the whole point of it. In my idea, Aokiji lost, and he said, okay, the Marines are going in a direction that I don't like. And surely we don't think he has the idea that Emu exists, but he has to at least know some of what's going on in Marijois, that the Celestial Dragons are horrible people, and that the Marines definitely are not fully justified in everything that they're doing. So maybe he's like, okay, the stuff from the past, I'm not down with this. I don't like what Akainu's doing. I don't really know if the Marines are for me. So he leaves, and he really does. We don't see him say this. We see when he talks to Blackbeard, Blackbeard's like, hey, you don't really know what's going on with your life, right? You don't know where your next direction is. He agrees. I think that's really what happened. I think he left the Marines, did not have any direction, kind of was just wandering around, and then eventually he did get to a bar, and there is some confusion about this. He wasn't looking for Blackbeard, we don't think. I'll get into that again in a second. He gets attacked by some of the Blackbeard pirates. He wins and freezes them, and then Blackbeard shows up. After some talk, Lafitte's like, hey, maybe we should take that devil fruit. And of course, Aokiji does not take kindly to that. And that's when Blackbeard says, you know what? You should join my crew. You don't have any direction. Nothing's going on with you. And eventually, Aokiji says yes. The whole point of what I'm saying is, my idea is that he really legitimately didn't realize that he thought the Marines maybe not actually that just. Maybe I should learn more about the world. Maybe become a pirate for a while, see what that's all about, see if they're really that bad. And eventually he's going to realize, yes, which if my theory to be correct, which is kind of being less and less correct as time goes on, he would have probably at Hachinosu kind of had like a switch flipped and been like, okay, they're enslaving people here, they're capturing Kobe and Garp, pirates are not great, the Blackbeard pirates are not great, I'm going to go become my own man, fight for my own justice, which is, I think, kind of like similarly to the Revolutionary Army, to Luffy. Of course, we don't really think he knows all of some of the stuff that's going on in Marijois, but he would go become his own person and fight for his own, what he thinks is just, which is this kind of Oda randomly building up a Marine arc, which could make some sense. The other prevailing theory, which is something that I don't think is happening based on some of the recent events, is that he is not only a spy, he is a member of Sword. Maybe the head of Sword, which makes sense in some directions, right? He has the fight with Akainu on Punk Hazard, loses his leg, and then eventually meets with Blackbeard. Now, the idea here is that he loses the fight to Akainu, whether that fight was like, hey, loser has to go join Sword, because right after Marineford, right, there has to be some idea that Blackbeard is becoming close to the #1 threat. He just took Whitebeard's Devil Fruit. What is going on with him? Something's happening. We need to really keep tabs on Blackbeard. So maybe that fight was not only for who's going to be Fleet Admiral, who needs to go on this secret mission to join the Blackbeard Pirates via likely Sword. If that were the case, that could make some sense this entire time he's just been a spy. And that would answer some questions, because as I mentioned, Hachinosu, it's very odd that we get all of that we get some backstory, we get some scenes where Aokiji's like punching the ships. We see he's doing that because Garp was doing that. He's like, I want to be like my mentor. Of course, without Haki, without Devil Fruits, they're doing that just like back and forth. We see that camaraderie. And then he doesn't help him at Hachinosu. I think he says something on the lines like, I can't let Teach Shimi be weak or something because he's like a newer member. So that could be like really why he had to not be able to help Garp at that point, because he's a member of Sword, and he's clearly, well, if that is true, he's spying on Blackbeard, which could make a little bit of, which does make some sense, because I would think that if he wasn't, he might come to his senses and be like, hey, I am going to help Garp out because Blackbeard pirates are doing horrible things, and you're telling me Aokiji and Garp could not clear that beehive on their own? Blackbeard was not there. Not all of the Blackbeard commanders were there. Shiri was there. There were some other ones there, but I think together they are the two strongest characters currently that were at Beehive at that moment. They could have cleared it on his own. So clearly he has a reason for why he did not help Garp. Is that reason because he's a part of Sword / spying on Blackbeard? It could be. I think it would make a lot less sense for my own idea that that's just him still being okay with the Blackbeard pirates operating and being like, yeah, whatever, I'll hang out with you for now. I don't think so. Kind of one more idea on that one before I move on. Kind of the next kind of theory I'm talking about is that's the whole Sword thing, that he's spying on Blackbeard for the long game, kind of saying, hey, we need to figure out really what is going on with that guy. And of course, there is some other information that would make a ton of sense, right? Because Blackbeard's a part of the Navy clan, which of course he likely doesn't know. Emu probably didn't share that information with him because he doesn't even know Emu exists, and I can't imagine the Five Elders like, hey, by the way, Blackbeard's even more of a big deal than you know. So that probably didn't happen. Some other ideas I'm seeing is about Ohara, right? He was there. Land of Scholars, he probably figured out something was happening. And maybe he realized, okay, after I left the Marines, this is of course back with the idea that this was not anything related to spying. He went, you know what? Maybe I should learn about the Void Century, whether that was I want to find Blackbeard or Blackbeard found me. Maybe I should figure out what's going on with the Void Century. What is the truth of the world? What happened at Ohara? I need to figure it out. I need to learn about the Void Century. Truly, what's really happening with Road, which again does not make a ton of sense to me, because why would Oda draw that up? Why? That doesn't really help the story progress in any way. So I think it really does boil down to, which the spy Swordgate makes the most sense from a theory standpoint to me out of all of them, even though I think I like mine better. And I think there's a really big point that I haven't mentioned, and I'm having trouble actually finding it anywhere, so I might just pose the question to you guys, because there seems to be some confusion on like the logistics of this. We were told about the fight, we saw some stuff about the fight, but the real question is, when did he lose the damn leg? Because I was looking at pre-time skip pictures, and we don't actually see like any pictures of Aokiji without long pants. So did he really lose the leg to Akainu? The whole point I'm getting at, right, is I know there's not a lot of people that could take a leg from an admiral, but if you already lost a leg, then that could really help us feel like, okay, what's really going on here? If he did take it from Akainu, okay, that makes sense. Hey, I'm leaving the Marines. If he took it from someone else, and he's saying that it was from Akainu, it would make a ton of sense that he's like, okay, this is a really good way to convince someone, Blackbeard, that I have left the Marines for good. I hate the Marines. I hate Akainu. I'm done with it. This is proof that I'm ready to join you. And that would kind of help the idea that he's joining with Sword. Yeah. So it's a little bit confusing. At some point, right, we're going to see something. After Elbaf, of course, we're kind of focusing. I'm going to go into 1174 here, so if you haven't seen that, you might want to click off here. We're focusing on a lot of the stuff. We're focusing on Loki, focusing on the Gods Knights, which I also made a video on Summers, because I think Oda's setting up different things here with the Gods Knights killing him, Gunko and Summers, the ones that are on Elbaf. I think he's setting up 3 different outcomes at the end of Elbaf. If you want to see it, I'll link that at the end as well. And once we get past that, I think the question, I think I've heard some people mention that Oda said we're going to Laugh-Tale right after that. I haven't seen that. Are we going to Lodestar? Are we going to Hachinosu? Are we going to Laugh-Tale? I'm not sure myself, but if we go to Hachinosu, it would make a ton of sense, and then maybe at that point we would learn more about Aokiji. I'm not sure. If you guys have any thoughts or any questions or anything or any ideas, please put it in the comments. I'd like to see it. And if you guys leave a sub and a like, it would help the channel a lot. We're still a new channel, popping out videos on occasion here, trying to grow. So this channel is kind of like a mixture of current events, I'm doing some movie reviews. We're gonna do some like meme reviews, and I think I'm gonna do just like a lot of like pre-time skip and some filler stuff as well because I really like pre-time skip. I think I'm gonna make a video dedicated to hockey and how I think it's a problem like next. So we're gonna be a lot of different kind of videos. If you want to continue to watch the channel, leaving a sub would help see the videos. Anyways, appreciate y'all watching. I will see you next time.